Course title Geology. Paper title Economic Geology and Mineral Resources of India. Topic of the lesson: Ore deposits associated with felsic igneous rocks. Part 3, Porphyry type deposits. Objectives: to understand nature and types of porphyry ores, mode of occurrence and genesis of porphyry copper, molybdenum, tin and tungsten deposits. General description: the term porphyry system relates to a composite, occasional single, medium to coarse-grained silicic intrusive complex wherein at least one member displays porphyritic texture with about 25 volume% of phenocryst of alkali feldspar and or quartz. Figure 1. Porphyry ores constitute a very special class of ore deposits that occur within the porphyry systems as disseminated and or stockwork type ore characterized by two major and consistent attributes: A. Amazingly high tonnage with very low grade ores, and B. Presence of extensive, often concentrically zoned wall rock alteration features. This unique type of mineralization accounts for 50% of global copper and 70% of global molybdenum production. Three main types of porphyry ores are recognized. 1. Porphyry copper with two subtypes, copper molybdenum and copper gold, two types of deposits representing the Lowell-Gilbert model and the diorite model respectively. 2. Porphyry molybdenum, which is subdivided into the climax type with high traces of tin and tungsten, intense silicification and low copper content, and the quartz monzonite type, Endako type, which grades into copper molybdenum porphyry with decreasing molybdenum copper ratio. 3. Porphyry tin, which mostly belongs to mesozonal environment, contains minor trace amounts of tungsten, molybdenum, bismuth, example, deposits in New South Wales, Tasmania, in South Africa types. Besides these three, porphyry tungsten deposits have been discovered in many areas, especially in North America and in China, in subvolcanic to mesozonal settings. Major concentrations of porphyry copper and molybdenum deposits are in Phanerozoic island arcs and Andean type of continental margins, conclusively demonstrating their affiliation to subduction-related subvolcanic to mesozonal felsic magmatism. Besides these occurrences along the Pacific Rim, porphyry copper and molybdenum ores are also known from Paleozoic fold belts at Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan, in Siberia and in the Appalachian belt of eastern North America. Proterozoic occurrences are extremely rare. Porphyry copper molybdenum deposit at Haib, Namibia, being one well-known example. Archean porphyry copper with or without molybdenum deposits occur at Pohjanmaa, Finland, and at Pearl Lake, Canada. Porphyry molybdenum deposits are mostly of Mesozoic and Tertiary ages, though some, like in Central Asia, are of Paleozoic age. Porphyry tin deposits in Bolivia are of Tertiary age. Tin granites of Indonesia, Malaysia, Burma, Thailand, and southwest China are Mesozoic. Porphyry copper deposits. As indicated above, these deposits are low-grade stockwork to disseminated deposits of copper that may also carry minor recoverable amounts of molybdenum, gold, and silver. Usually, they are copper molybdenum or copper gold deposits. Most deposits have grades of 0.4 to 1% copper, and total tonnages range up to 1,000 million, with a few janes being even larger than this. Table 1. Typical porphyry copper deposit occurs in a cylindrical stalk-like composite intrusion having an elongate or irregular outcrop about 1.5 by 2 kilometers, often with an outer shell of equigranular medium-grained rock. The central portion is porphyritic, implying a period of rapid cooling to produce the finer grained ground mass. Petrography and nature of the host rocks. The most common hosts are acid plutonic rocks of the granite clan, from granite through granodiorite to tonalite, quartz monzodiorite, and diorite. However, diorite through monzonite, especially quartz monzonite, to syenite, sometimes alkalic, is also important. Porphyry copper deposits are normally hosted by I-type granitoids, within which it is important to distinguish the Category 1 Cordilleran from the Category 1 Caledonian intrusives, as the latter rarely carry economic mineralization. Host intrusions in island arc settings are presumably derived from the upper mantle or recycled oceanic crust. Mineralized intrusions in continental settings are probably derived from contaminated crustal material. Multiple events are common in areas of porphyry copper mineralization, with the host intrusions normally being the most differentiated and late or latest of those present. Host intrusions with associated volcanism generally formed late in the volcanic cycle, and mineralization usually followed one or more pulses of magma intrusion. Thus, at Ray, Arizona, USA, early quartz diorite was emplaced at 70 million year, a porphyritic phase at 63 million year, and the mineralized porphyry at 61 million year. Intrusion geometry. The host intrusions usually appear to be passively rather than forcefully emplaced, stopping and assimilation being the principal mechanisms. They can be divided into three classes. 1. A class in which the ore-bearing intrusive is simply an isolated stalk. A variation on this theme could be a sill or a series of dikes or irregular bodies. 2. In this class, the host is a late-stage unit of a composite co-magmatic intrusion, often of batholithic dimensions. Examples belonging to this class occur in both continental and island arc settings. 3. This class is not yet known to carry economic mineralization, but it is clearly related to porphyry copper deposits. Occurrences belonging to this class take the form of extensive alteration zones carrying weak mineralization and occurring in the upper parts of equigranular intrusions. Hydrothermal alteration, Lowell and Gilbert model. Alteration features, most often concentrically zoned, are invariably present in and around porphyry copper deposits. In 1970, Lowell and Gilbert investigated alteration features in the San Manuel Kalamazoo ore body, Arizona, and compared their findings with 27 other porphyry copper deposits and proposed a unified nature and distribution of zones of hydrothermal wall rock alteration. They claimed that generally 4 alteration zones are present as shown in Figure 2. These are normally centered on the porphyry stock in coaxial zones that form concentric but often incomplete shells. In the Lowell-Gilbert model, they are as follows. Potassic zone. This zone is not always present. When present, it is characterized by the development of secondary orthoclase and biotite or by orthoclase chloride and sometimes by orthoclase biotite chloride. Sericite also may be present. These secondary minerals replace the primary orthoclase, plagioclase, and mafic minerals of the intrusion. Anhydrite may be prominent in this zone. The secondary potash feldspar is generally more sodic than the primary potash feldspar. It may also be present in the quartz veinlets forming the stockwork. The mineralogical reconstitution is the net result of variable intensities of potash metasomatism accompanied by leaching of sodium and calcium from primary magmatic phases. Phyllic zone. This is the alteration of the type known in other hydrothermal deposits as sericitization and advanced argillic alteration. It is characterized by the assemblage quartz sericite pyrite and usually carries minor chlorite, illite, and rutile. Pyrophyllite may also be present. Carbonates and anhydrite are rare. The inner part of the altered zone is dominated by sericite, while further out, clay minerals become more important. Sericitization affects the feldspars and primary biotite. Alteration of the latter mineral producing minor rutile. These are silica generating reactions, so much secondary quartz is produced, silicification. The contact with the potassic zone is gradational over tens of meters. When the phyllic zone is present, it possesses the greatest development of disseminated and veinlet pyrite. Argillic zone. This zone is not always present. It is the equivalent of what is called intermediate argillic alteration in other deposits. Clay minerals are prominent, with kaolin being dominant nearer the ore body and montmorillonite farther away. Pyrite is common but less abundant than in the phyllic zone. It usually occurs in veinlets rather than as disseminations. Primary biotite may be unaffected or converted to chloride. Potash feldspar is generally not extensively affected. Propylitic zone. This outermost zone is never absent. Chlorite is the most common mineral. Pyrite, calcite, and epidote are associated with it. Primary mafic minerals, biotite and hornblende, are altered partially or wholly to chlorite and carbonate. Plagioclase may be unaffected. This zone fades into the surrounding rocks over several hundreds of meters. Hypogene mineralization. The ore may be found in three different situations. It may be A. Totally within the host stock, B. Partially in the stock and partially within the country rocks, or C. In the country rocks only. The most common shape for the ore body is that of the steep-walled cylinder, figure 3. Stubby, cylindrical to flat conical forms and gently dipping tabular shape are also known. The ore bodies are usually surrounded by a pyrite-rich shell. Like the alteration, mineralization also tends to occur in concentric zones, figure 2. There is a central barren or low-grade zone with minor chalcopyrite and molybdenite. Pyrite usually forming only a few percent of the rock, occasionally up to 10%. Mineralization appears to be disseminated rather than fracture controlled. Passing outwards, there is an increase first in molybdenite and then in chalcopyrite as the main ore shell is encountered. Veinlet mineralization is now more important. Pyrite mineralization also increases in intensity outwards to form a peripheral pyrite-rich halo with 10 to 15% pyrite but only minor chalcopyrite and molybdenite. The shells show a spatial relationship with wall rock alteration zones, with the highest copper values often being developed at or near the boundary between the potassic and phyllic zones. Mineralization is not commonly found in the argillic zone, which usually appears to have been formed later and to be superimposed on other alteration zones. Weak, non-economic mineralization continues outwards into the propylitic zone. Breccia zones and pipes. Breccia zones and pipes are common in a number of deposits and are often mineralized, while some deposits consist mainly of mineralized breccia pipes. These breccias may occur within the porphyry body or in its wall rocks. Some appear to be the result of hydrothermal activity, fluidized breccias with rounded clasts and rock floor cements, while others appear to be granular collapse breccias. The former are frequently referred to as pebble dikes. Vertical extent of porphyry bodies. Porphyry copper deposits occur in a subvolcanic environment associated with small high-level stocks. Silito, 1973, emphasized their close association with subaerial calc-alkaline volcanism. He envisaged host Pluton as being overlain by a stratovolcano, figure 4, and contended that evidence from Chilean and Argentinian deposits shows that propylitic alteration extends upwards into the stratovolcano, which is itself likely to carry native sulfur deposits. The zones of alteration close upwards. The potassic zone dies out, sericite and argillic zone alteration become important, and the upper limit of economic mineralization is reached. The diorite model. Subsequent to Lowell and Gilbert's model, it has been recognized that some porphyry copper deposits are associated with intrusives having low silica-alkali ratios. This type of deposits is designated as diorite model. Although the host pluton may be a syenite, monzonite, diorite, or alkalic intrusion, Hollister 1975. Diorite model deposits differ in a number of ways from the Lowell-Gilbert model. One of the main reasons appeared to be that sulfur concentrations were relatively low in the mineralizing fluids. As a result, not all the iron oxides in the host rocks are converted to pyrite, and much iron remains in the chlorite and biotites, with excess iron tends to occur as magnetite, which may be present in all alteration zones. Alteration zoning. In the diorite model porphyry deposits, the phyllic and argillic alteration zones are usually absent, so that the potassic zone is surrounded by the propylitic zone. This zonal pattern is present in both island arc and continental porphyry copper deposits. In the potassic zone, biotite may be the most prominent potassium mineral, and when orthoclase is not well developed, plagioclase may be the principal feldspar. Mineralization. The main difference from the Lowell-Gilbert model is that significant amounts of gold may now occur and molybdenum copper is usually low. The fractures containing GaN silicate minerals and copper sulfides may be devoid of quartz. On the other hand, chlorite, epidote, and albite are fairly common. Table 2 contrasts the principal features of each model and lists further features of the diorite model. Metal abundances. The vast majority of deposits can be divided into two classes according to whether the principal accessory metal is molybdenum or gold. Generally speaking, copper-gold deposits appear to be concentrated in island arc settings and copper-molybdenum deposits in continental settings. There are, however, some notable exceptions. Example, Cerro Colorado, one of the largest island arc deposits, has a high molybdenum gold ratio. Regional characteristics. The distribution of porphyry, copper, and molybdenum deposits is shown in Figure 5, from which it is evident that the majority of porphyry deposits are associated with Mesozoic and Cenozoic orogenic belts in two main settings, island arcs and continental margins. Major exceptions are the majority deposits of erstwhile USSR and Appalachian occurrences of USA, which are of Paleozoic age. Only a few porphyry deposits have so far been found in the Precambrian. Southwestern USA and Mexico. In USA, the deposits form an oval cluster which contrasts with the linear belts of deposits in the Andes and elsewhere, but which continues southeastwards as a linear belt into Mexico for at least 1,900 kilometers. There are over 100 deposits with about 30 in production. The ages range from 20 to 195 million year, with a peak around 60 million year Laramide orogeny. Some deposits lie along marked lineaments with a tendency to be developed at their intersections. They are spread over a considerable area, and some are so far inland that if the genesis of the host intrusive is to be linked to a subduction zone, then it is necessary to postulate very low dipping or multiple subduction zones. Northern Canadian Cordillera of America. In this complex region, there is a range of copper, copper molybdenum, and molybdenum porphyries. These deposits are related to magma generation connected with Benioff zones that were active during late Triassic, Jurassic, and Cretaceous to early Tertiary times. The host granitoids are I-type, and the copper-molybdenum ratios of the deposits correlate with the composition of the host plutons, with decreasing copper-molybdenum ratios from diorite to granite, and imply a genetic link between the major element chemistry and metal content of the magmas. Appalachian region. In this region, porphyry deposits were first developed during the Cambrian and Ordovician, and later in the Devonian and Carboniferous. Considering all deposits together, copper porphyries formed first, followed by the coeval development of separate copper and molybdenum porphyries, with a final period when only molybdenum porphyries were formed. Accompanying this change was a variation in the composition of the magmas associated with the mineralization from quartz monzonitic to granitic. The Andean province. This province has a most marked linear distribution of deposits. Example, Chilean porphyry copper province, figure 6. There are 15 major porphyry copper deposits and at least 50 occurrences in Chile and Argentina. The belt continues northwards into Colombia and Central America. The age range of most of the deposits is 59 to 4.3 million years, and nearly all have significant molybdenum content, and the underlying crust appears to be entirely continental. Most deposits are related to stocks of intermediate composition and calc-alkaline affinity, although a few are associated with stocks of the Shoshonitic suit. Southwestern Pacific Island arcs. Island arcs of this province generally lack continental crust. Gold is usually an important byproduct and molybdenum is uncommon. Lowell Gilbert and diorite model deposits occur together. The host porphyries have penetrated to high structural levels and are all very young, less than 16 million years. The deposits formed at a late stage of arc evolution, first before volcanic activity ceased. Erstwhile USSR. The majority of erstwhile USSR porphyry deposits are Paleozoic with a peak in the Carboniferous. The most important deposits are located in Kazakhstan, the Caucasus, Uzbekistan, and Siberia. Majority of deposits are related to present or former subduction zones, and about a quarter are molybdenum poor copper porphyries that are formed in island arc settings. Copper molybdenum deposits lie along continental or microcontinental margins. Genetic aspects of porphyry copper deposits. In considering the formation of these deposits, it is necessary to consider their enormous dimensions. The size and shape of these deposits imply that the hydrothermal solutions permeated very large volumes of rock, including country rocks, as well as the parent pluton. That at least some of these solutions originated in the host pluton are suggested by the existence of crackle brecciation. Crackle brecciation and its origin. Crackle brecciation is the name given to fractures that are usually healed with veinlets to form stockwork mineralization. The zone of crackle brecciation is usually circular in outline, always larger than the ore bodies, and fades out in propylitic zone. This brecciation is thought to be due to the expansion resulting from the release of volatiles from the magma. The host magmas of porphyry copper deposits appear to have reached to within 0.5 to 2 kilometers of the surface before equigranular crystallization commenced in their outer portions. The intrusions would then be stationary and the confining pressure would not fluctuate. With the steady development of crystallization, however, anhydrous minerals form and the liquid magma becomes richer in volatiles, leading to an increase in the vapor pressure. If the vapor pressure rises above confining pressure, retrograde boiling will occur and a rapidly boiling liquid will separate. If retrograde boiling occurs in a largely consolidated rock, the vapor pressure has to overcome the tensile strength of the rock as well as the rising above of a confining pressure. This will result in expansion and extensive brecciation. 3 stages in the development of crackle brecciation can be visualized. A. Vapor pressure building up in and around upper portion of magmatic fraction. B. Occurrence of retrograde boiling leading to expansion. And C. Distribution of resulting brecciation. Figure 7, Phillips 1973. Some chemical processes in the formation of porphyry copper deposits. Retrograde boiling produces an aqueous phase, hydrothermal solutions, in a porphyry system, and chloride ion is partitioned strongly into it. As is biosulfide ion, provided a sulfide mineral such as pyrrhotite is not stable. The presence of chloride ion supplies a transporting mechanism for the base metals that also fractionate strongly into the aqueous phase, and the bisulfide provides the sulfur for the eventual precipitation of sulfides. Aqueous fluids that separate from I-type magmas with relatively high oxygen fugacity tends to produce sulfur-rich porphyry copper mineralization, whereas fluids from S-type magmas may deposit the more sulfur-poor tin oxide mineralization. Sulfur isotopic studies indicate that sulfur in porphyry copper deposits is largely of upper mantle or remelted oceanic crust origin. Macmillan and Pentileyev, 1989. According to Shepard, 1977, and Taylor, 1981, the hydrothermal solution evolved during solidification of the intrusive reacts with the porphyry and to a varying extent with the surrounding country rocks, giving rise to the development of the central zone of potassium silicate alteration, potassic zone. Farther out from the intrusion, thermal gradients set up a convective circulation of water in the country rocks, that is, formation water, and this is responsible for the propylitic alteration. Taylor, 1981, used strontium isotope data to demonstrate that fluids involved during the potassic alteration were magmatic hydrothermal and those that caused the propylitic alteration were meteoric hydrothermal. Likewise, stable isotopic data for phyllic and argillic alterations indicate that formation waters, meteoric water from the country rocks played a significant role during phyllic and argillic alterations. Field and petrographic evidences suggest that the phyllic and argillic alterations postdated the potassic and propylitic alterations and were superimposed to varying degrees upon them. Sources of the copper. Economic porphyry copper deposits are more likely to develop if the parent magma is enriched in copper. Mason and Fies, 1979, suggests that as copper prefers octahedral sites in crystallizing magmas, magmas with more octahedral sites will contain more copper in the melt at the retrograde boiling stage and thus more likely to give rise to porphyry copper type mineralization. Now, the number of octahedral sites is proportional to the alumina alkalis ratio, and a study of mineralized versus barren intrusions in porphyry copper belts showed that the former are characterized by a higher ratio. This is one mechanism that can lead to the concentration of copper into certain magmatic differentiates. During fractional crystallization of magma, crystallizing augite and magnetite extract copper from melts. If augite and magnetite are poorly developed during fractional crystallization, copper behaves as an incompatible element and gets enriched in the residual melt. It is discovered that mafic to intermediate lavas that are relatively poor in magnetite and augite may indicate the presence of porphyry copper deposit in its roots. It therefore seems very likely that some calc alkaline magmas may be enriched in copper during differentiation. According to Griffiths and Godwin, 1983, the fundamental processes governing the metallization of porphyry copper deposits are probably subduction control rather than upper crustal. But the final concentration of copper into a stockwork is an upper crustal process. According to Henry et al. 1985, copper is extracted not only from apical portion of the porphyry host but also from deeper parts of parent intrusion. Further, the copper is not leached out of already precipitated silicates such as biotite since it was present in the fluid that produced the potassic alteration. Based on studies on biotites of two porphyry copper deposits, Ilton and Veblen 1988 showed that the copper is concentrated in the secondary hydrothermal biotites up to 10 weight% and not in the primary magmatic biotites less than 0.3 weight%. This study indicates that Sheet silicates in the host rock acted as traps for copper and not sources of that metal. Porphyry molybdenum deposits have many features in common with porphyry copper deposits. They contain, on an average, 0.1 to 0.45% molybdenum sulfide. Host intrusions vary from quartz monzodiorite through granodiorite to granite. Stockwork mineralization and the ore bodies are associated with simple, multiple, or composite intrusions or with dikes or breccia pipes. There are three general ore body morphologies which are shaped as inverted cup, hollow cylinder, and tabular or inverted bowl, figure 9. Molybdenite occurs in A. Quartz veinlets carrying minor amounts of other sulfides, oxides, and gangue. B. Fissure veins. C. Fine fractures containing molybdenite paint. D. Breccia matrices and more rarely E. Disseminated grains. White et al. 1981 have divided the porphyry molybdenums of North America into climax and quartz monzonite types. In reality, majority of porphyry molybdenum deposits world over are associated with granites, including all climax types and many quartz monzonite types. Some quartz monzonite types are associated with granodiorite and a few with quartz monzodiorite. Climax type deposits are fewer in number and restricted to the Colorado mineral belt near Denver. The so-called quartz monzonite type is more broadly distributed throughout the western cordillera of North America, and similar deposits occur in China, Peru, and Yugoslavia. There appear to be many porphyry molybdenum deposits outside North America that are transitional between these two types. These are referred to as subclimax type. The principal differences between climax and quartz monzonite types are that the climax type generally has high trace or accessory contents of tin and tungsten. Multiple intrusion of highly evolved magmas enriched in fluorine, rubidium, and incompatible elements, and several mineralizing events. Intense silicification associated with its wall rock alteration. High average ore grades and low in copper compared with the other type. Climax molybdenum mine, Colorado, consists of 3 mineralized ore bodies and associated intrusions, figure 10. Hydrothermal alteration. The alteration patterns are very similar to those found in porphyry copper deposits, with potassic alteration and silicification being predominant. In the Ureth-Henderson molybdenum deposits, Colorado, the ore body is roughly comparable with the potassic secondary potash feldspar with or without fluoride, with or without quartz, with or without molybdenite, and silicic quartz with fluoride, with or without molybdenite zones, figure 11. A prominent pyrite zone carrying 6 to 10% pyrite is developed around Henderson ore body, and a similar less distinct zone is present at climax. Genesis of porphyry molybdenum deposits. The close association of the ore bodies of most deposits with the potassic zone of alteration in a number of stocks suggests a magmatic source for molybdenum. For Henderson and Climax deposits, the volumes of the host intrusions are far too small to have supplied the large tonnage of molybdenum that is present in the deposits. While referring to Climax and Henderson ore bodies, Stein 1988 suggests that the tertiary granite molybdenum systems were derived by partial melting of lower crust, probably 1,400 million year old granulite during development of Rio Grande Rift system. Prior to the publication of Stein 1988, many other authors have suggested that the source of the molybdenum and its host magma may have been continental crust, but Nittel and Burton 1985 have advanced evidence in favor of a mantle origin. Porphyry tin deposits from the subvolcanic section of the Bolivian tin province south of Oruro have much in common with porphyry copper deposits, large volumes of rock with 0.2 to 0.3% tin. There is a pervasive sericitic alteration that grades outwards into propylitic alteration. In the tin-bearing porphyritic bodies, potassic alteration zone is not noticed. Porphyry tungsten, usually tungsten molybdenum deposits, have now been described from various parts of the world, especially North America and China. In these intrusions, hydrothermal alteration is not always present as pervasive zones, and when present may not show a regular concentricity. Porphyritic intrusives associated with tungsten deposits are variable. Subvolcanic quartz feldspar porphyry at Mount Pleasant, New Brunswick, USA, and granite at Locton in Yukon, China. Summary: the term porphyry system relates to a composite, occasionally single, medium to silicic igneous intrusive complex wherein at least one member displays porphyritic texture with about 25 volume% of phenocrysts of alkali feldspar and or quartz. Porphyry ores constitute a very special class of ore deposits that occur within the porphyry systems as disseminated and or stockwork type ore characterized by two major and consistent attributes. A. Amazingly high tonnage with very low grade ores, and B. Presence of extensive, often concentrically zoned wall rock alteration features. This unique type of mineralization accounts for about 50% of global copper and about 70% of global molybdenum production. Three main types of porphyry ores are recognized. 1. Porphyry copper with two subtypes, copper molybdenum and copper gold. These two types of deposits represent the Lowell-Gilbert model and diorite model respectively. 2. Porphyry molybdenum, which is subdivided into the Climax type with tin and tungsten, and quartz monzonite type, Endako type, which grades into copper molybdenum porphyry with decreasing molybdenum copper ratio, and porphyry tin, which contains minor or trace amounts of tungsten, molybdenum, and bismuth. Major concentration of porphyry, copper, and molybdenum deposits are confined to Phanerozoic island arc settings and Andean-type continental margins, thus demonstrating their affiliation to subduction-related subvolcanic to mesozonal felsic magmatism. Porphyry, copper, and molybdenum ores are also known from Paleozoic fold belts. Porphyry molybdenum deposits are mostly of Mesozoic and Tertiary ages. Porphyry tin deposits in Bolivia are of Tertiary age. Tin granites of Asian countries are of Mesozoic age. Porphyry copper deposits may also carry minor recoverable amounts of molybdenum, gold, and silver. Most deposits have grades of 0.4 to 1% copper, and total tonnages range up to 1,000 million, with a few janes being even larger than this. Typical porphyry copper deposit occurs in a cylindrical stalk-like composite intrusion having an elongate or irregular outcrop of about 1.5 by 2 km. The central portion is porphyritic. The most common hosts are of the granite clan, from granite through granodiorite to tonalite, quartz, monzodiorite, and diorite. Porphyry copper deposits are normally hosted by I-type Cordilleran granitoids. Host intrusions with associated volcanism generally formed late in the volcanic cycle, and mineralization usually followed one or more pulses of magma intrusion. Host intrusions in island arc settings are presumably derived from the upper mantle or recycled oceanic crust. Mineralized intrusions in continental margin settings are probably derived from contaminated crustal material. The host intrusions usually appear to be passively rather than forcefully emplaced, stopping and assimilation being the principal mechanisms. Alteration features, most often concentrically zoned, are invariably present in and around porphyry copper deposits. These deposits usually exhibit 4 alteration zones: A. Potassic zone, B. Phyllic zone, C. Argillic zone, and D. Propylitic zone. Mineralization may be found in 3 different situations. It may be A. Totally within the host stock, B. Partially in the stock and partially within the country rocks, or C. In the country rocks only. Mineralization, like the alteration, also tends to occur in concentric zones. Central barren or low-grade zone with disseminated minor chalcopyrite and molybdenite mineralization, passing outwards to a zone with molybdenum first, then copper to main ore shell with relatively higher concentration of copper with or without molybdenum, with or without gold. The ore shells show a spatial relationship with wall rock alteration zones, with the highest copper values often being developed at or near the boundary between the potassic and phyllic zones. Breccia zones and pipes are common in a number of deposits and are often mineralized, while some deposits consist mainly of mineralized breccia pipes. In the diorite model porphyry copper deposits, the phyllic and argillic alteration zones are usually absent so that the potassic zone is surrounded by the propylitic zone. This zonal pattern is present in both island arc and continental porphyry copper deposits. The diorite model porphyry copper deposits contain significant amounts of gold. Majority of porphyry copper and molybdenum deposits are associated with Mesozoic and Cenozoic orogenic belts in two main settings, island arcs and continental margins. Major occurrences are encountered in southwest USA and Mexico, northern Canadian Cordillera, Appalachian region, Andean province, southwest Pacific Island arcs, and erstwhile USSR. Porphyry molybdenum deposits on an average contain 0.1 to 0.45% molybdenum sulfide. Host intrusions vary from quartz monzodiorite through granodiorite to granite. Mineralization is associated with simple, multiple, or composite intrusions or with dikes or breccia pipes. Two types of porphyry molybdenum deposits are known: A. Climax type and B. Quartz monzonite type. Climax type porphyry molybdenum deposits contain accessory amounts of tin and tungsten and are characterized by few mineralizing events. Climax molybdenum mine, Colorado, consists of 3 mineralized bodies and associated intrusions. The alteration patterns are very similar to those found in porphyry copper deposits, with potassic alteration and silicification being prominent. Porphyry tin deposits in the Bolivian tin province on an average contain 0.2 to 0.3% tin. They exhibit pervasive sericite alteration that grades outwards into propylitic alteration. In these deposits, potassic alteration zone is not noticed. Porphyry tungsten, usually tungsten molybdenum deposits, have now been described from various parts of the world, especially from North America and China, and are associated with quartz feldspar porphyry, example Mount Pleasant, New Brunswick, USA, and granite Loktung in Yukon, China. In these deposits, hydrothermal alteration is not always present as pervasive zones, and when present may not show a regular concentricity.